Welcome back to another episode of Tie 24 Sports. Tie 24 Sports. You see the cash app down at the bottom. Please donate to the channel. $ TY Rebel 22. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter/X at TY24 Sports. Now you see the title, man. I got the Knicks winning the NBA Finals. The Knicks. Now I know that sounds like a hot take. I actually heard them talking about it on First Take this morning. And, I usually disagree with First Take, but with this one, I gotta agree, man. The Knicks, they coming with it, in my opinion. The Knicks are a team that I feel like, this is their time. This year, this is really like, one of them occasions where the Knicks, they got something going. Uh, Really, the biggest thing that I see is when you look at that Thunder and Nuggets series, and first let me give you the picks for the day. My bad, I'm skipping ahead. So in the MLB, we got Cleveland Guardians money line. I got the Minnesota Twins, Denver Tigers. No, Detroit Tigers. My bad, Detroit. I got the New York Yankees, and then I got the LA Dodgers all money line. Then let me give you my NBA picks of the day. And remember, please, follow the Cash App. Donate to the Cash App. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Ty24 Sports. But my NBA picks is gonna be Indiana money line. So I got Indiana closing out that series against a defeated Cleveland Cavaliers squad. I just don't feel like Cleveland has the mind state at this point. I think they've just given up. I think with Denver, they're in a dogfight with OKC, but Denver's actually beating OKC. But OKC is just taking up the scraps when Denver get tired. But I feel like Denver has more dog in them, and that's going to be the theme for this show you're going to start seeing. But let's get to it. As far as what I was bringing up about the series, why I feel like the Knicks are going to win it all, is partly because when you look at these different series, like let's go with OKC and the Nuggets. I feel like the way the Nuggets are playing, yeah, they run out of gas here or there because they're kind of an old team, but they're a tougher team than the Thunder. And when the Thunder shots are not going down and when that defense get in their face, they don't really have another option. They're not trying to out physical Denver. Even though they do play kind of a physical form of ball, but it's like the Thunder don't do anything great. They play good basketball all around, but I feel like that's what's coming back to bite them because Denver, though they have, gaps as far as, being not old, but not kind of being like a slower paced team sometimes for being in the West. When they hot, they hot. They play bully ball and they have that bench. They have that bench that they're not afraid of anybody, and they have that height and length. A lot of people were skeptical of the Westbrook thing, but I feel like Westbrook being there really helps out Jamal Murray. He can kind of like sit back, and, because a lot of pressure was on him to, kind of assist the Joker. But I feel like Westbrook, even when he doesn't score, you have to account for him, rushing down low or whatever. He's a wild card. He's a change-up, and I just feel like that's a lot for OKC to deal with night in and night out. They'll pick up a game here or there, but I feel like they'll lose in 6 or maybe 7. It may not even go to 7. But I definitely got Denver taking one tonight. But then when you look at that Minnesota and Warriors series, think about it. They probably were gonna lose anyway, but it probably would have went to 7 with Steph. But with Steph out probably a week, or not, I think maybe they're saying he might be back sooner than a week. And then you got the whole Draymond thing, which I think Draymond's still gonna play his game, but he kind of like him and the referees. I don't know if he's walking on eggshells. I just feel like Minnesota, even though I would have kind of doubted them coming into this series, Minnesota has kind of like used what they have to their advantage, and I feel like a dude like Randolph, that trade, I was kind of skeptical of getting rid of Cat, but I was wrong again. I got to admit when I'm wrong. That swap out of Cat, I think Cat helps in New York, but also feel like the trade that they made helped the Timberwolves as far as winning this series and possibly coming out of the West. I feel like the Timberwolves have a team that, with Julius Randle, they have that toughness. Then they have the finesse / toughness with Edwards. Rudy Gobert is not the toughest guy, but he does what he does, down low. And they play different types of ball. They can shoot, but they're more of a scoring team. They play good defense. They hustle. They spread the ball around. Even though Edwards can be involved shooting and scoring, he also can be involved with assists or just playing off the ball. It's just a lot to deal with, especially when you down Steph Curry, and then you also have an aging team in the Warriors. Jimmy Butler was coming through in that first round, but I feel like Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy, he kind of gassed. Now you never know he gonna pop back up, but I feel like the Warriors, they might have to pack it up and come back next year. You know, but as far as what's going on in the East, what makes me feel like the Knicks are gonna win it all? When you look at the East, this Celtics and Knicks series, it's pivotal, but not only with the Jason Tatum injury, because I think that may be a wake-up call for the Celtics, but I feel like the Celtics went all throughout the regular season coasting, in my opinion. There were a lot of games that were close that shouldn't have been close. It was a lot of games where they gave up leads and then they would just out-talent people. And the thing about it is, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And traditionally, Boston hasn't been the hard-working franchise. But it seems like winning the championship last year kind of took some of the dog out of those guys. Brown still has that dog in him. Tatum does what he does. He'll show up every now and then. White definitely has that dog in him. Horford is kind of aging. Not saying that he still isn't a contributor, but I feel like that size, that length, that athleticism, all the stuff that makes Boston great is what's coming back to bite them because the Knicks have closed that gap with Cat and with different guys that the Knicks have on their team, and Brunson. These guys are overachievers. These guys are not your traditional New York Knicks team that feel like they those guys. All these guys have a chip on their shoulder, and I feel like that combined with the lack of, I'm not going to say the lack of dog, but the lack of urgency that Boston is coming into this series with, you have to finish games against this Knicks team. So it's not that the Knicks are more talented, but remind me of the Kawhi Leonard and I think 2021 with the Raptors, where enough teams are beat down and hurt that I feel like the Knicks are going to win by process of elimination. And then when you get to the series between Cleveland and the Pacers, Cleveland just laying down. It's not even a long monologue. I would have said brought up the Knicks in Boston last, but save the best for last. But it's not much to talk about with Cleveland and the Pacers. I feel like the Pacers are a scrappy team, just like the Knicks, but they're just not as scrappy. So I feel like the Knicks in 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals, which will get you to the NBA Finals, where I feel like if I'm right, you got OKC going down tonight to Denver. And I feel like the Warriors will maybe win another game, maybe with Jimmy Butler showing up, and if Steph can come back. But I feel like the Timberwolves are on fire right now. But when they get into that series between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets, I feel like the Nuggets run out of gas because they're going to try to play them the same way they play in the Thunder, and you're not going to be able to drop them games here or there. Go hard one night, hustle, because I feel like the Minnesota Timberwolves hustle every single night. You got to beat them boys. But I feel like it's going to go to 6 or 7, and they'll be very tired and gassed when they get to them finals. Because I feel like that's kind of what happened last year when Kyrie and Dallas caught the Timberwolves off guard. Because they're more of a scoring team than a pure shooting team, which points have been down in general in these series in the NBA. This been kind of a lower scoring, playoffs compared to this Steph Curry, LeBron era, this 20 teens and 2020 where you can't foul nobody, you can't touch nobody. I don't know if the defense is finally catching up to that 3-point shot, but it's been a lot of 90s, low hundreds games, going on. But I feel like the style of play for Timberwolves, they'll be able to make it past Denver in 7. But when they go against the Knicks are going to pretty much have a 5 or 6 game series against the Pacers. So they'll be pretty much rested going into those finals versus the Timberwolves. If I'm right, I got the Timberwolves overtaking the Nuggets in 7. No less than 7, maybe 6, but I feel like no less than 7. They might even win the first game. But I feel like eventually with coaching, with Bronson having that dog in him, I want to say Timberwolves, but I feel like the Knicks got so much momentum. I think maybe next year for Minnesota. I feel like Anthony Edwards, he would have to have a real Michael Jordan moment in the finals simply because he going against a guy in Bronson, a guy and his former teammate in Cat, the bench that the Knicks got. They want it just as bad as Minnesota wanted. Minnesota has talent, but Minnesota's out hustling people. They out dogging people. Same thing with the Knicks, but the difference is the Knicks are going to be well rested going into those finals. And I just feel like it's a lot of momentum with New York. It's almost like they feel like this is their only time to get it. Versus I feel like Minnesota, I'm not going to say that Minnesota is coasting because they're definitely not. They definitely locked in and focused. Anthony Edwards wanted. But I feel like how are they gonna adjust? How are they gonna adjust to the defense that the Knicks are bringing? How are they gonna adjust to the Knicks bench? How are they gonna adjust to, like, who gonna man up on Brunson? You know what I mean? I know Edwards play both sides of the ball. He a hell of a defender. You know what I mean? But I just feel like, when you look at that, yeah, Randall can score. You know, Rudy Gobert is a great player, but we all know he's not the toughest guy. Not saying that the Knicks are that tough down low, but I would kind of take the toughness of the Knicks over, Gobert. I just feel like it's a toss up, but I'm going with the Knicks to win the finals. I heard them say that on First Take, and I don't think that's a hot take. I just think that's a process of elimination. I don't think you have to be the best team. Sometimes you just got to be in the right place in the right time and give your best effort. So that's why I feel like the Knicks are going to win the finals. Now, speaking on MLB, I gave you my picks, but one thing I do want to speak on, being a Miamian, a Floridian, what's going on with the Marlins, man? With the Marlins, I feel like the outfield, when you watch baseball, our outfield is just like they taking bad angles. They making bad throws. When you watch like people like the Yankees and the Dodgers, maybe it give you a skewed mind. But I be seeing guys throw from third base straight to first base, out, clean. Gotta be right there by the base. He can't get it. You know what I mean? I be seeing guys catch one in outfield. You know what I mean? But it seems like the Marlins is kind of like lackadaisical on defense. You know, every now and then they'll get a home run or they'll get some base hits. Their offense is not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is, they rely on pitching. I like the Marlins pitching more than I like they field play. That's just a personal observation. As far as the Yankees, I done seen the Yankees. I've been watching them all last week. They like cardiac cats. I mean, I know they got a lot of talent, but it seemed like, man, similar to some of these basketball teams I'm talking about, you have to beat them. I seen them in close games, and it's like, like the San Diego game last week when San Diego was pitching pretty good. The Yankees play all 9 innings. As far as the Dodgers, we know they playing money ball. That's a well-paid team. They going up against the A's tonight. That's a California rivalry, but I just feel like, man, the Dodgers, they rolling high right now. You know what I mean? But that's going to be the show for the day. Ty24 Sports, please, support the channel on on Cash App, $TY Rebel 22. I'm gonna try to upload more often. We got Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at TY24 Sports, and I'm out.